at the studio. Caleb Falera running the TV side again. Apologize for the WRNR TV issues. And Patrick Feely running the radio side. Big thanks to those guys filling in for me back there on this Friday night. All right, Matt, it's not going to be overly exciting when we talk about these, but first let's start with the one score of this game.
Well, remember, it was the second possession for Spring Mills, and it was after Hedgesville decided to go for it on a 4th down and 1 from their own 29-yard line. Rather than punt and play the battle of field position, head coach Joey Urish and his staff felt like they could get it on a 4th down and 1, and they did not get it. That allowed Spring Mills to take over with 9:21 to play in the opening quarter, and it was a 14-yard pass play that got the the drive started as the pass went from Padmore Johnson to Christian Henderson for 14 yards. After that, it looked like it was a touchdown run for Caleb Tenney, but it got called back on a hold, and then 2 plays later, the quarterback, Keon Padmore Johnson, went in from 10 yards out. That capped a 4-play, 29-yard drive, took 35 seconds. The extra point made it 7-0 Spring Mills. That was with 8:26 to play in the first. That's been the only scoring in the first half.
Yeah, and a game that with these two teams, Mike, you and I talked about it. It was a game that you necessarily didn't expect with the weather being high scoring, but two very high-powered offenses coming into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 high-powered offenses. You would expect a lot of offense. And really, you've had some decent offense considering. Hedgesville, I've got them at 141 total yards in this first half.
Those turnovers.
There it is, 3 turnovers as they had a fumble on their opening possession, a fumble on their 3rd possession, and a fumble on their 5th possession. Right now, the good news is Spring Mills hasn't been able to take advantage of those turnovers. They took advantage of a turnover on downs on that missed 4th down and 1. Meanwhile, Spring Mills has had 70 yards of offense on 22 plays, so not bad offensively for them, but just 3 first downs so far in this first half for Spring Mills. They've had 2 turnovers of their own, one on the fumble on the opening kick, and then the interception on their last possession that looked like it was a reception before it became an interception down the line. Neither team doing a good job on 3rd down. Spring Mills 0 of 5, while Hedgesville is 2 of 6. The Eagles 0 of 2 on 4th down. Spring Mills 0 for 1 on 4th down conversion attempts. Penalties, 5 for 45 yards for Spring Mills. I've got 6 penalties, 56 yards against Hedgesville in the first half. A couple of individual numbers. Keon Padmore Johnson, 2 of 7 for 18 yards and the INT. He's carried 10 times for 53 yards. Caleb Tenney, 4 carries for 10 yards, and they've had a team carry for -11 on a bad snap and a mishandle in the backfield. Meanwhile, for Hedgesville, let's see, Owe Ash has completed just 1 of 3 passes for 12 yards. 8 carries, 19 yards for the quarterback. 8 carries for 37 yards for Malachi Brown, really leading the offense, if you will. I can't say fully leading because the leading rusher is Keenan Smoot. Keenan Smoot. I got him at 68 yards on 9 carries.
That is one thing that I was going to bring up next. I wonder where this Hedgesville offense would be if Keenan Smoot was still running. He came out like gangbusters and really on both sides of the football was running the ball very well. I know Mike Jacobs said it. He was running the ball flat-footed better than anybody else out here in these sloppy conditions. So he stayed on the sideline for the remainder of that first half. That injury happened a little bit later in the first quarter, so it'll be interesting to see if he is able to return. But I assume if he was going to, he would have done that sometime in the second quarter.
Well, unless maybe it's something they can tape up or deal with at halftime and get him back out there. Otherwise, I've got Devin Heath a carry for 10 and a team carry for -4 on a bad snap. That has been about it for both of these offenses.
All right, a minute left on the clock before the halftime is supposed to be over, but we're guessing they're going to throw another minute or 2 on that clock. Spring Mills just getting back down to the field, actually just walking to the field, not quite onto the playing surface yet. Hedgesville nowhere to be seen yet. So we're going to take another 1-minute break. When we come back, we'll have the second half of action from here in Hedgesville. This is West Virginia High School football on Talk Radio, WRNR.
It's one of the toughest times you'll ever face, when someone close to you passes away. It's a swirl of papers to sign and arrangements to be made, all while you're dealing with grief. At Brown Funeral Home, we encourage you to pre-plan. Pre-planning not only makes things easier for you, it protects you from rising costs. At Brown Funeral Home, our families are precious to us, and so are yours. Brown Funeral Home in Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson.
And welcome back into Moonwall Stadium. Second half of action just minutes away as we expected. Teams sometimes get that extra 3 minutes or so, and I'm guessing the refs were kind enough to oblige tonight in these conditions. So both teams now just getting back onto the field to stretch, looking to see, we were talking about it before we went into the break, about Keenan Smoot and whether he could return, trying to find a number 20 out there stretching, and I do not see one off the initial look, but we will be sure to look at that throughout that second half to see if he can come in again. Really, the big guy offensively in that first quarter for Hedgesville had over 60 yards of offense, really did a phenomenal job. This matchup, interesting considering how young of a school Spring Mills is. Only in their 6th year as a program, as a school. And looking at this matchup, Hedgesville could tie the series at 3 apiece with a win tonight. Last year's meeting, Hedgesville won. They broke a 3-year slide. They got the win 38-15. The previous 3 years, 2016, 15, and 14, it was Spring Mills, and other than 2014, not even close. Looking at 2016, Spring Mills got the win 52-7. In 2015, it was a shutout, 35-0. And then in 2014, it was when those tides were starting to turn a little bit, and Spring Mills edged out Hedgesville 35-28. In the initial meeting between these two teams, where there was no seniors on that Spring Mills roster, it went to the Eagles 58-7. So Hedgesville, an opportunity to even this series. And again, just kind of a strange thing to say when you consider how short of a program this Spring Mills team has had.
They've got the athletes, it appears, though, in that part of the county. As we said before the game even started, they have more athletic ability in their secondary and skill positions on the field than Hedgesville has across the board.
And you got to think about when you